Hi, good morning. This is Trina. So today I will tell about different types of water pollutant and the hydrological cycle. So here I have given my contact number. So if you have any of you have any doubt, you can communicate through my either email ID or mobile number. And the most important part I have given here, that is the course page. So here entire study material is uploaded, and not only that, the probable question answers and the solved problems, semester questions, all these things also available. So first of all, you have to join with my code, then you can avail all the study materials anytime, anywhere. The subject environmental science, the subject code is MC301 for odd semester, MC401 for even semester. And this course is for undergraduate BTech students, and the streams are IT, CSE, Civil, Mechanical and BAB. And the course objective, the students will be able to understand the natural environment and its relationship with human activities. They will be able to apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess environmental and health risk. They will be able to understand environmental laws and regulations to develop guidelines and procedures for health and safety issues. They will be able to solve scientific problem solving related to air, water, noise, and land pollution. So mainly I can tell that our future citizen will be responsible to protect our Mother Earth. And they will acquire skills for scientific problem solving related to air, water, noise, and land pollution. So here the entire syllabus is given. First is general part, then the air pollution, then water pollution. So here in the water pollution, the module 3, the water pollution, I will tell about the classification of water and the pollutants of water. So here I am showing that the classification of water and the pollutants of water, their origin, effects, etc. So in the syllabus, there are other chapters also, like say noise pollution, land pollution. So all these things I will cover later. And these are the reference books. So you can avail these books from our library. Next, the entire lecture plan for environmental science is given here. That is the day-wise lecture plan. That means which portion will be covered in which day. That is written here. So first thing, that is the water. First I will tell the water, or you can say the hydrosphere. That is very important part of our environment. So in the general part, you have already learned, that means the components of environment, that it has 4 components. First is the atmosphere, then hydrosphere, this one, atmosphere, then hydrosphere, then lithosphere and biosphere. Atmosphere, that is the sphere of air, and hydrosphere, that is the sphere of water. Lithosphere, that is basically about the land, and biosphere means all living organism. These are plant kingdom and animal kingdom. And today, in the water pollution part, first of all, we have to know very well about the hydrosphere. Hydrosphere means the sphere of water. So the hydrosphere includes all types of water resources like ocean, polar ice and glaciers, underground water, freshwater lakes, saline lakes, island seas, soil moisture, rivers, streams, and water vapor in the water. So all these things are the part of hydrosphere. And this hydrosphere, we can classify the hydrosphere in two parts, that is the surface water and groundwater. And in surface water, you can see that is the saline water and fresh water. So saline water means that is which we get from the sea, ocean, etc., that which contains salt. And fresh water we get from the river. So next I'm going to tell about hydrological cycle. So this is a part of biogeochemical cycle. Biogeochemical cycle means it is a cycle that way any type of material moves in a cyclic way in our environment. So their biological substance are involved, chemical substance also involved, and geological substance like say sulfur, phosphorus, which we get from the rocks, these are also involved. That is why the name is biogeochemical cycle. And this includes hydrological cycle. Hydrological cycle is the water cycle. This includes like gaseous cycle, oxygen cycle, carbon dioxide cycle, nitrogen cycle. So how it moves in a cyclic way in our environment, like say nitrogen. Nitrogen, we get it from our environment, and then it is nitrogen by the method of nitrogen fixation. It is converted into nitrate, soil nitrate, and that is absorbed by the plants. Then the plants produce their food, and when this food is consumed by different consumers, first level, primary level, secondary level, tertiary level, so the soil nitrate moves from plants to the different consumer. Then when they are dead, that means after the death of plants and animals, their body is decomposed, and again the nitrate comes into the soil, and then by the denitrification process, again it is going to the atmosphere. So in this way, all the materials moves in a cyclic way in our environment. That is called biogeochemical cycle. So here our part is water cycle. So hydro means, you know, that is the water. So water related anything, we say the hydro, like hydrophobia. Okay, that means if there is a fear from the water, you know, this disease is called hydrophobia. So hydrological cycle, that is the water cycle. That means how water moves in a cyclic way. So there are few parts. So here you can see the picture, and you can basically you know from your childhood what is the hydrological cycle. So mainly we get the precipitation by hydrological cycle. So what is the rainfall? So based on the rainfall or precipitation, there are lots of factor dependent, like our agriculture, all these things. So there is the sun. So the evaporation takes place from the sea, ocean, river, and here you can see the transpiration, evaporation, and this is the transpiration. The water evaporates from the leaves, that is called transpiration. So by the evapotranspiration, water is going evaporated. So I am showing you the steps. There are 6 steps. Number 1, evaporation. As water is heated by the sun, surface water molecules from all water resources become sufficiently energized to break free to the attractive force binding them together, then evaporate and rise as invisible vapor in the atmosphere. So in this, that means as a vapor from water remains in the atmosphere. Transpiration, what I told, that water vapor emitted from the plant's leaves by the stomata, then it is called transpiration. Then condensation. So as water vapor rises, it cools and eventually condenses, usually on tiny particles of dust in the air. When it condenses, it becomes a liquid again and turns directly into the solid. These water particles then collect and form cloud. So after the condensation, we get the cloud formation. So you can see here, that is our cloud is formed. So here is the cloud, that is the evaporation, and that is the transpiration here by the leaves. Then by the condensation process, then cloud is formed. So this is very well known procedure, that how the cloud is formed. Then from the cloud we get the rain. Again, this rain is evaporated by the sunlight. Okay, so next is precipitation. So precipitation is main, that is the rainfall. Precipitation in the form of rain, or it also may be in form of snow and hail, comes from cloud. So clouds move around the world propelled by the air current. It moves from one place to another place. So say if there is a mountain, so it will rise over, and they will cool down, and it will be converted into raindrops and will come down. And what is runoff? So runoff means the excessive rain or snow melt can produce overland flow to creeks and ditches. Runoff is visible flow of water in rivers, creeks, and lakes as the water stored in the basin. And percolation, that is some of the precipitation and snow melt moves downwards, percolates, and infiltrate through cracks, joints, and pores in the soil and rocks until it reaches the water table, where it becomes groundwater. So basically, we get the rain. Then what is the fate of this rain? So where it will go? So this rainwater is going to different places. Some of the wasted and some will be percolated down to be stored as groundwater. So it is the runoff. What is the fate of the rainwater? So groundwater, subterranean water, is held in cracks and pore spaces. Depending on the geology, the groundwater can flow to support streams. So I told that classification water, this is of two types. Number one, groundwater, and number two, surface water. So groundwater contains little suspended material, less chances of contamination. And basically that is why groundwater was well accepted as the drinking water. And we have made lots of tube oils to get the groundwater, and from the old ages we are using the groundwater as drinking water because it is free from different types of contamination. But now what is the problem? This groundwater is not safe now. It is contaminated by different types of heavy metals. You know that due to the over exploitation, the different like heavy metals like say arsenic is coming from the rocks, And this is now in our groundwaters. It is so dangerous. So now groundwater is not safe. So municipality mainly use the surface water, although it is not the sufficient, but they use the river water or other surface water, and they do the some, that means purification process, and they do the supply. That is why now the rainwater harvesting is very important for us. Rainwater harvesting and grey water treatment. So we can do all these things in our home if we give some little effort. The recyclation of the already used water. We have used the water that we can do with the little purification. We can again use all these things. And rainwater harvesting, if we do in the household, very easily we can do it. Then the purification cost will be reduced, and the wastage of the water by the runoff process, that also will be reduced. So water pollution, to tell about the water pollution, you must know the different types of pollutant. So pollutant, you know, the materials, or it may be living, non-living, which is present in the water, and it if it exceeds the level and it becomes the harmful for our body, then it is called pollutant. So there are different types of pollutants. It is like, say, organic pollutant, inorganic pollutant, suspended solids. You have learned also, like TDS, TSS, total suspended solid, total dissolved solids, etc. So here first I will tell about the oxygen demanding waste. These are different types of pollutants. So oxygen demanding waste means basically the organic matters which require mainly the oxygen. How they require oxygen? They are non-living. They will not do the respiration. So when their body is decomposed, the organic matter is decomposed, this moment it requires the oxygen. And for this purpose, it will use the dissolved oxygen. That means oxygen which is dissolved in the water bodies. So if the amount of organic waste or oxygen demanding waste increases, that is very harmful for the water bodies. Because for the aquatic life, at least it is required to maintain the minimum dissolved oxygen, that is like minimum 5, at least it is 5 to 8 milligram per liter, it should be. And the saturated value of dissolved oxygen, that is 15 milligram per liter. There may be the MCQ question that what is the saturated value of the dissolved oxygen? Then you have to tell that that is 15 milligram per liter. If it is a question is what is the minimum value required for the aquatic life for dissolved oxygen, then you have to tell that is the 5 milligram per liter. So if it drops, so fish and aquatic life is threatened. That is why we have to take care of this. That means that amount of algae or amount of other organic material should be less. Next is pathogens. So pathogen is the that means different types of microorganisms like bacteria, virus, protozoa, which causes disease. So these are the microorganisms which causes disease. So there are different types of pathogens. Like say there are different types of disease like waterborne disease, water waste disease, water-based disease, and water-related disease. Water-related disease, so one by one I'm telling, like waterborne disease, they spread through ingestion of contaminated water like cholera, typhoid, etc. Water waste disease, they spread through unclean water, example like scabia. Water-based disease, example like dracunliasis. they spread through water contact, where the larva of the parasitic worm get attached to the human skin, penetrate it, and ultimately enter the bloodstream. It is very dangerous. Water related disease. So in such disease, human contact with water is not needed. It is the host which depends on water for its habitat, like malaria, dengue. So it comes from the mosquito. So these are the different types of pathogens and waterborne disease. Next is heavy metals. So heavy metals, you know, if the specific gravity is greater than 4 to 5, these are called heavy metals. So mainly the 4 heavy metals like cadmium, mercury, lead, and arsenic. So how we get this? What are the source of these heavy metals? Like for chromium, the mining, industrial coolant, chromium salts, manufacturing, leather tanning, etc. And for lead, we get from the batteries, paints, e-waste, smelting operations, coal-based thermal power plants, ceramics, bangle industry, etc. Mercury, we get from the thermal power plant, fluorescent lamps, hospital waste, electrical appliances, etc. Arsenic we get from the smelting operation, thermal power plants, natural rocks, etc. So these are the source of different heavy metals. And for the all heavy metal, that is very common thing that they are basically carcinogenic, that means causes cancer, and they mainly do the kidney damage, liver damage. So these things you can tell for all heavy metals. So they are responsible for kidney damage and liver damage. So effects of cadmium. So kidney damage, disorder of liver and brain, bone marrow disorder, gastric and intestinal disorder, etc. And the different disease like itai, ouch, this disease are caused by cadmium. Basically, cadmium, how it comes in our body, cadmium is very similar with the zinc. Cadmium plus 2 and zinc plus 2. So it replaces the zinc in the enzyme part, and it is absorbed by plants. Then when it is absorbed by plants, it comes into the food which they prepare. And when we intake the plants are consumed by primary level, secondary level, then it comes in our body, and ultimately it affects. So the disease, basically I told you, la itai, ouch, these are mainly seen in the Japan, and this disease causes the bones fragile. Next is effect of mercury. The kidney damage, blurred vision, mental disorder, etc. So this mercury, how it comes in our body? So this comes, here the flowchart is given. So it is the mercury Hg plus 2 is more harmful than Hg plus 1. Then, it becomes like CH3 Hg plus. Then it is absorbed by phytoplankton, okay, which remains in the water bodies. Then consumed by small fish, then by large fish, then the large fish, when we take the large fish, consume large fish, so it comes into our body. It is one of the food chain or another way, like phytoplankton is consumed by insect, then these are consumed by birds, then it is coming to the human being. So in this way, this is another food chain. So from the water bodies, the cadmium comes, the mercury comes into our body. And this mercury, due to the mercury, the disease known as Minamata. So if the MCQ comes like that, due to which heavy metal the Minamata disease takes place? So you have to answer due to mercury. There will be the options like arsenic, cadmium, mercury, lead. So answer will be mercury. And basically this was caused at the Japan, at the Bay of Minamata. Many people who consume the water of the contaminated water by mercury, they were either crippled or they were dead. Next is the effect of lead. Effect of lead. So this is the liver and kidney damage, mental retardation, and genetic modification. Next is effect of arsenic. So in the effect of arsenic, so initially if the initial contamination, you know that there will be different types of black pigmentation on the skin, that is the Blackfoot disease. So this type of disease take place by the arsenic contamination, and ultimately with the long-term contamination, cancer may take place. So the effects are like it affects liver, damage bone marrow, cellular elements of bloods, may lead to cancer. And the arsenic is very similar with the phosphorus. So it replaces the phosphorus in ATP, adenosine triphosphate, adenosine diphosphate. So this is the main part of the Krebs cycle. So efficiency of the Krebs cycle is reduced if we are contaminated with arsenic. So arsenic contamination is increasing day by day and it is being dangerous. So we have to take care of this. We have to do the purification of the water. Next is nutrients. So nutrient pollution is a process where too many nutrients, mainly nitrogen and phosphorus, are added to bodies of water, can act like fertilizer, causing excessive growth of algae. So this one is called eutrophication. Eutrophication or algal bloom. If the water bodies is rich in nutrient like nitrogen and phosphorus, so the algae will grow very rapidly. And you have seen in different water bodies, lakes are completely covered by algae. So what is the problem with that? The problem is, that means if the amount of algae, that means the surface water is covered by algae, then sunrise cannot penetrate through it. So anaerobic decomposition will take place. The algae will be dead after some time. So their body will be decomposed anaerobically. Anaerobically means in absence of oxygen. So there will be very bad smell. The water will be impure. And not only that, the amount of dissolved oxygen will be reduced because during the decomposition, the oxygen is required. Another thing, that means the mass deposition will be more. So the water bodies ultimately will be converted into the marshy land. So to take care of the eutrophication, we can do the dredging process, like we can remove all the algae by dredging process, or we have to reduce the use of different types of washer, that means detergent. We use the detergent. From there the phosphorus comes into the water body. So we have to reduce the use of all these things which contain nitrogen and phosphorus, so that the amount of nutrient becomes less. salts. So water is taken up by the fine roots of plants through the process of osmosis, which involves the movement of water from regions of low salt concentration, such as the soil, to regions of high salt concentration. When salt concentration in the soil are high, the movement of water from soil to root is slowed down. When the salt concentration in the soil are higher than inside the root cells, the soil will draw water from the root and the plant will be dead. This is the basic way in which sanitization affects plant production. So the damaging effects of salt on plants are caused not only by osmosis process, but also by toxic level of the sodium and chloride. Fruits, crops, and woody ornamentals are especially sensitive to high level of these elements. Also, the high pH value, a measure of acid or alkaline balance caused by excess sodium, may result in micronutrient deficiencies. So the amount of salt should be a proper limit. If it is higher or lower, that will create the problem. And the TDS is a total dissolved solids, and TSS is the total suspended solid. So total solid is equal to TDS plus TSS. And if the TDS value is less than 500 milligram per liter, that is called the fresh water. If it exceeds like 2100 milligram per liter, so it is called like it is for the sea water, it is a saline water. So if the concentration of TDS exceeds 2100 milligram per liter, irrigation become very difficult. So water is recommended at the fresh water level, that is used for drinking purpose, that is 500 milligram per liter. Pesticides. So the chemical which prevent, destroy and mitigate any pest, insect, fungus, bacteria, viruses, these are called pesticides. So we need to apply the pesticides to protect our agricultural like crops, fruits, etc. We need to apply all these things, but it has the toxic effect on us. Volatile organic compounds are the organic chemical that have a high vapor pressure at ordinary room temperature. So simply to say, it will vaporize very easily. So the boiling point of all these things is very less. So common example of volatile organic compounds are like benzene, ethyl glycol, formaldehyde, methyl chloride, tetrachloroethylene, toluene, xylene, and 1,3-butadiene. So this volatile VOC also has the toxic effect on us. So if I summarize the today's lecture, so what you have learned today? You have learned the different types of the classification of water, that is the groundwater and surface water. You have learned the hydrological cycle, that means how we get the precipitation. So you have learned the different types of pollutants, their origin and effects. So if I ask some questions like mention the steps of hydrological cycle, so what you will answer? There are 6 steps you will answer. So you can answer, I hope. Like you will start from the evaporation, then transpiration, then cloud formation, precipitation. In this way you will tell, and last step will be the runoff. Mention example of volatile organic compounds. So just now I told you that different volatile compound like ethylene formaldehyde, benzene, like tetrachloroethylene, toluene, xylene, etc. What is the problem with oxygen demanding waste? So you have to give the reaction that how the organic matter reacts with oxygen, and we get that how you can give the reactions like the organic matter plus oxygen with the in presence of microorganism. You will write that CO2, what will be the product? CO2 plus H2O plus new cells of the bacteria plus the nitrate, sulfate, phosphate, different salts. So these are the products, and you have to say that when any organic matter are decomposed, it require oxygen. So this consume basically dissolve oxygen. So it requires, these are the called, these types of organic matters are called oxygen demanding wastes. And these are very harmful as it reduces the dissolved oxygen level, DO level of the water. As the DO level at least should be maintained at 5 milligram per liter for aquatic life. Mention the names of the heavy metals. This is very easy question I have given for the assignment. But you have to also, so names will be like cadmium, mercury, and lead and arsenic. 4 heavy metals, that means which the specific gravity more than 4 and 5. But you also have to prepare the what are the origin, that means sources of each heavy metals, and what are the causes or effects of all these things. Okay, so I hope you have understood very well. So today I am ending my session. If you have any doubt, you can communicate with me. Thank you.